Hello again, everybody! Welcome to Bedrock Basics Badlands episode number 9. We're finally starting to build interior buildings in the mega city structure. And our primary focus today is a 3-building structure for a foundry. You can see I've got the template laid out here ahead of time. And I don't really have it all built, but this gives me a rough idea of the footprint it's going to take, and I'll smooth it out as we go. So this first area is going to be the fuel storage and fuel generator. By fuel storage, it'll be all my ores, coal, etc. The other thing I want to include is a lava generation area, which is what I'm working on right here. And this is going to have 8 lava generators. Lava generators are awesome, and they're pretty simple to make. It's really a dripstone block with a dripstone below it and a cauldron to catch the lava. And then of course you have to put lava sources above the apparatus to get it going, so that the dripstone knows what it's actually funneling. And you'll have to excuse me today because we're doing 3 builds all together. All the builds are being done at 2 times speed. Now in your own viewing options for your own YouTube, you can just slow it down to half speed, which will let you watch this in normal time. But if I don't accelerate to 2 times time, this video is going to be over an hour in length and your time's too valuable. So we've compressed it down so that we can digest it and see the whole thing. And 2 times isn't that bad. So I like to use glass above the lava generator because, as I've shown in other little short videos, if you use water, the dripstone generators will actually generate dripstone. And the glass is just kind of a nice effect that you see what the dripstone is providing. For the storage area itself, I'm not actually going to put physical doors on. I'm going to leave the doorways open. And the other buildings will actually have proper doors. For a pallet today, this is deep slate bricks. In order to make deep slate bricks, you dig your cobbled deep slate from deep underground, and then you polish it, and then the polished stone you can turn into bricks. For pallet choice, I specifically took a darker brick for what is essentially a medieval industrial building complex. So you'll see the dirty ore storehouse and the foundry itself are the darker brick, and we'll use a lighter palette for the residents where people actually live there and keep it cleaner. But if these are just big furnaces that are burning all the time, there'd be soot and dirt all over the place. I'm really liking the Badlands for all the terracotta that's available, and the orange terracotta, it's essentially dirt in the Badlands, but it's got a really nice aesthetic color to it. This first area here is just going to be all chests, and to pretty up the doorways, that's not just a big square hole, we're just using stairs and upside down stairs to round it out. And from a distance it gives it a very circular look, and this circular aesthetic is going to be carried on throughout the base. You'll notice in little glimpses in the background I've got arches and whatnot happening, which is just achieved the same way. Just some stairs and upside down stairs stuck in the corners. And you can see even in the process of this building, 8 lava generators actually generates lava fairly quickly. And lava, of course, well, bucket of lava is an outstanding fuel source. A bucket of lava will allow you to smelt 100 items in a furnace or blast furnace. Okay, just a big open room, and it's going to need a roof. over top of the lava. Lava will spit out a fiery spark once in a while, so I like to just put stone over top just in case, because the rest of the roof is going to be wood, and I don't want the sucker to catch fire and burn down. That's just not good. So we have our lava totally encased in glass and stone. And then we'll use spruce for the wood for the roof here. And on the residence, I'm going to wind up using jungle. Like, it's just a lighter color. And for, in my mind, what is a heavier, more industrial building, I'm just using a darker color of wood to emphasize that that feel and that aesthetic. Again, there's two ways to spawn-proof your roofs and rooms that don't have a lot of traffic in them. One is partial blocks, and the other is light sources. So for the big flat roof on the storage house, I'm just going to put half slabs on top, and this will stop any monsters from spawning on top of it. Must say, it feels good to actually be building the interior of the city now. And the foundry, like I need to smelt glass, I need to smelt sand, I need to smelt sandstone, and other products as well. And so the two items I wanted to get done first was this foundry, and probably in the next episode I'll start an enchanter, a big library setup, so I can get all the different enchants on my equipment. I did have one smelter set up at the entrance of the port, but one smelter just wasn't cutting it. As the builds go on and they get bigger and more elaborate, I had a higher need. So this setup here, when I build the foundry next door, it's going to be 4 super smelters, and then I'll even throw in a couple of blast furnace smelters as well. Also, again, keeping our block choice to 4 or less, we've got the spruce, which is a darker wood in the spectrum. The deep slate stairs and bricks, which of course are dark black, and the orange terracotta to balance it out, which the orange and the black, I think it really goes together nice. So there you have the storage room, and you can see I have some chests in there, and when I've got time I'll just fill it all with chests. Moving on, we're at the foundry. Again, we're going to do this at 2 times speed, and feel free to turn your monitors down to half speed to watch it at normal. It will distort my voice though. And you can see each of these 3x3 squares behind, it's basically going to be a chimney, and at the mouth of each chimney, that's where I'm sticking the furnace. And these hoppers are essential to making a more efficient furnace system. So we shift and click the hopper at the bottom chest, and that's going to be the output from the furnaces and blast furnaces. And then after that, it's going to be the fuel input, and these campfires are one, marking the center of each of the chimneys. Number 2, it's going to give me that smoke effect coming out the top of the chimney. So as we build it up, we're just going to house it, and of course the chimneys, as we go along, they've got to be higher than the structural roof. Otherwise, you'd be pumping smoke into your house, and that's no good. Okay. And again, the orange terracotta, instead of being a dirt floor, it almost looks carpeted or intentional, and I like the look of it. But here in the Badlands, like when we first started, it's like, oh my gosh, Badlands, that's tough. It is, but the reward is that it's also very pretty, and there's all kinds of colors available. Okay, the top boxes are for the input. So the top double chest is input. Middle double chest is, which I just placed, is fuel, and the bottom double chest is the output. And each one just has an appropriately positioned hopper to ensure that the right item goes to the right part of the furnace. We're always building up the chimneys to be higher than what the roof or the interior structure will be. And given the illusion that these are really integrated with each other, we're going to wind up using an angled roof with the square chimneys. The shape of square next to triangle, they'll contrast each other nicely, and you'll see the end effect is quite intentional. Because flat roofs are easy, but if a flat roof with flat chimneys, it's too much flat. You need to break it up. The other thing I learned in this building is that the smoke coming from the campfires, it actually has a limit to how high it goes. And it didn't come to mind. Totally makes sense. But until you make a build like this, you don't even pay attention to those little details. So as you can see, as my chimney goes up, there's very little smoke coming off the top because we're just at that height. And of course the simple solution for that is going to be we're going to have to raise the campfires up to a higher height and just go for the illusion that the fire would be down below and the smoke going up the entire chimney. But considering we're playing with Minecraft and the limitation of the blocks, it still gives off the visual that we're going for. Again, loving the terracotta colors to accent the brick colors. And these buildings are actually going to have doors. Left these little gaps over the doors intentionally. I didn't think terracotta would look right, so the little gaps we're just going to fill with fences and leave it as like air ventilation. Let the heat escape from inside this super hot foundry. And now the roof. Again, the block of choice here is spruce. I heavily favor spruce, jungle, and dark oak, just because those are easier woods to farm. Everybody that I don't use any mods. I just use the straight game and whatever updates Mojang officially puts out, and I do all my building in survival mode, which I like the extra challenge. And then once in a while I also get visitors that just to add to the building experience. And by visitors, I just mean like creepers. It's all part of the game. finally coming to the apex, or the top of the roof. And the chimneys, I just want them a touch higher than those roofs. You can see on the side I'm at height 73. And for reference, the flat top of the walls that surround the entire city are at height 70. So just the top of the roof of the Foundry is going to be higher than the exterior wall, and to me that feels good. Like, I don't, the walls, they're supposed to protect the town, and they'd be kind of useless to have like a 1 high wall around a 10 high building. Just, it doesn't make sense. Also, here we are finishing off the roof, and you can see I'm just looking for the continuity. I don't want the top of the roof in one section to be protruding at a different space than what the bottom of the roof is. We need the eye to flow through and see straight lines for the brain to draw all those connections. Of course, when we're done, it looks way prettier than just having a bunch of chests in the middle of a field. Close up the front. This is really my favorite part. Once you've got the grind of the resource collection and getting your gear and all the struggles that go along with beginning a game. Now that you're established, you get to build the way you want. And this building here it's right in the middle there. It's kind of an essential building, but that's no excuse not to make it pretty. And to top off the chimneys, I'm just going to use a wall variation so that it counts as a partial slab and monsters won't spawn on top of the walls. Finishes off the chimney nice with just a change in the texture. But as you can see, the smoke, it stops at the top level of the chimney. So we're just gonna have to take the campfire out, make sure you use Silk Touch, and we'll put it right next to the top. I don't want the fire coming out of the top, so I'll set it in down 1 square. And then we'll just repeat that for all the other chimneys. And there we have it. Just finish off a little bit of roof bits. Again, looking for the continuity of everything goes the same length. And just having a final look. And both buildings blend nicely together because we use the same palette and design. Okay, the last of the 3 components here is residences. So as I add villager workers to this complex, I have to keep in mind how many workstations that they're going to identify with. There's 2 blast furnaces and 8 cauldrons, which will actually generate leather workers. But a leather worker's alright because it looks like a guy running around wearing a big old leather apron. And for those that have images of old blacksmiths and foundry workers in their mind, nothing wrong with wearing a big old apron to protect yourself. So visually, it's just totally fine with me. I'm not going to be actually doing much trading with a leather worker, but having the villagers running around and tending to their jobs, it's all part of the town. So this building here, in this small little footprint, I'm going to make 4 apartments, and each of those apartments I'll double up with 2 beds, so it'll essentially be 2 villagers per apartment. And that right there is 8. So 8 villagers will be housed in this small area. And I only need 10, so 8 here, and I'm not going to put a 3rd floor onto it. I'll just build an adjacent little residence. Here you can see that we're using jungle wood instead of spruce, and it's a lighter color and sets it apart from being a residence and not a work building. Again, loving the terracotta. It's essentially working with dirt, but much prettier. And that's the rough outline of the 1st floor done. The 2nd floor will just continue on and leave gaps for jungle logs. There we go. And you can see with the orientation of the logs, I'm going for the illusion that we've got a giant log structure where it's a continuous log running from the entire width of a building or the length of the building. You can see me put the orientations sometimes. Another option that sometimes I like, sometimes I don't like, depending on the build, is stripping the wood. If you take an axe and right-click it on the logs, it'll essentially take the bark off and show the lighter colored wood underneath. But for this build, I'm wanting the bark-covered log. So the first step was picking my palette. The second step was putting in the footprints. The third was building an outline. And the last step will be doing the interior. And of course, there's lots of things that'll happen off camera, like actually breeding villagers and bringing them to this location. I don't like villagers that are essentially imprisoned in one square. I like them to be able to run around in some of their areas. And these villagers here, they'll have free reign to run around the city, but you'll find that they usually just pathfind between the bed that they've claimed for themselves and their workstation. They don't really go too much beyond that. And even if they do, it's just a game. It's easy to make more. Again, I like to use a bit of an angled roof, and then when I feel I've gotten high enough, I get lazy and I just slap the remaining top. Not everything's got to come to a point. But again, half slab the top because we don't want monsters showing up. Last layer up here. And keeping builds themed with the biomes that you're in. if I would have been in like a tundra or some kind of wintry biome with snow falling, I would ensure that every residence has some kind of fireplace or heating system. But we're out in the desert and Badlands, so I can kind of just let that go by the wayside. And of course, light everything up. Last thing you want is to complete a build and then have a creeper spawn and blow up the backside of your building because you forgot to put a torch in an alley. And the good thing about apartments and Minecraft houses is they really don't have to be very big. The villager really just needs a bed. But we'll give it a little bit more than that for the interior. Also remember, not only do you put lights on the exterior buildings to prevent mob spawns, but remember to put at least one torch on the inside. I do have the possibility of monsters spawning somewhere and attacking the villagers. So as I build the city and develop it in the future, I just have to be aware of that. I'll probably also add some iron golems later on when I've got abundant iron, just to patrol around the city, and I usually name them. Give it a little more character. Just needed an additional resident because I need space for 10, not for 8. So next to the apartment building is essentially a small house. Different style for the roof. Because I used an identical palette, these two buildings really look like they belong next to each other. Just like the Foundry and the fuel storage building, they really look like they belong with each other because they use identical palettes. They use the same blocks. Little cosmetics that I might add in the future and I didn't have in this video is like I might add flower beds or shutters on the windows. So as time goes by, if you keep tuning into my channel, just have an eye in the background and you might see little subtle changes like that. Like here you can see in the background the walls surrounding the town. They developed their own little bit of character too, which is again the abundant orange terracotta of the Badlands, and those are stone bricks back there. Yep, light it up, and then we're at a point where we can move on to the interiors. Sure, no monsters spawn inside or outside. And just gonna add a work table here, and later on I'll put some item frames that are just holding lava buckets there. Maybe some kind of tool. I'm not 100% certain yet. Okay, 2 beds in each of these rooms. We're not just going to make every apartment identical to the next one. We'll give it a little bit of variety, like yellow and blue. We know why we're using that. Go Sweden. The apartments, I put all the beds together like it's large double beds for couples. After all, they are going to be reproducing for us. But I think this one off on itself, that'll be maybe 2 friends that are a little bit more platonic. They don't share one big bed. Does it matter? Not really. But in my head, there's a little bit of a story. Of course, decorate up every business that I generate with a Swedish flag. Residence is not required. But every villager's going to need a chest for his stuff. And I'll probably add a couple of chairs, maybe a table, piece of artwork. Sometimes I throw in an armor stand. Yeah, I think they'll all get 2 chairs and a table as a minimum. And we'll give it different configurations for each apartment layout. Move the bed over. And there are a couple. They can have a big double chest at the foot of their bed. So really, the contents of each of these apartments is the same. We just give it a different orientation for flavor. For each place. The world needs more art in all of its forms. Signs in a residence. That's better. There we have it. We've got our block here, the Foundry block, which is really 4 buildings. We got a couple of residences, the Foundry itself, and our storage building adjacent to that. And comments are welcome, like and subscribe, and off camera I'll have to add some people and maybe some flowers. Thanks for joining me. Bye bye.